planned. My name is Maribel Trejo. Hello, Bayos. Hello, Bayas. Today we're going to talk about mental health. We're going to go ahead and talk a lot about an insightful view of how mental health can be overcome. And we're also going to talk about a little bit of how it started and the ways to cope with having mental health. If you have a mental disorder, don't worry about it. It does not define you for the rest of your life. As soon as you begin to understand why they're labeling you a certain way, you will be able to overcome it. And you won't be considered that person with that disorder anymore. You would just be considered yourself and with medication. So I hope you stick around because we're about to get started. So Clifford Beers was a man who decided that, hey, like, let's open up an asylum because people are having all these kinds of symptoms, that they're in a cycle of repetitive wrongdoing. So they're doing the wrong thing constantly, or they're thinking, and if they're doing the wrong thing, it's because they're thinking the wrong thing. That's very basic. So we're going to understand mental health as a repetitive, uncomprehensive list of things that people do. They take action on doing constantly. So if you're a person who constantly hits your brother or your sister, then we're going to consider that a mental condition. You conditioned yourself and your body you're so used to doing the wrong thing all the time, because who's gonna say that hitting your brother or sister is the right thing? No one, right? Okay, so if you conditioned your body and your mind, it becomes a habit. So it takes 90 days to start a habit and to end a habit. So it must have been in a period of 90 days, you must have been doing the same thing or thinking about the same thing constantly, that it became a problem. Or if you must have stopped doing something for 90 days for it to stop being a problem. Doesn't mean it won't go back to being a problem, but now it's another problem because it's another time. I hope you understand that. And if you can't, just put pause and kind of ponder on that for a little while. Okay. Another thing is, mental health did not only begin in the early 20th century. It began when we were young with a question. We began to ask ourselves questions when we're about the age of 14, right? Because when we're younger, we usually don't understand life. We usually don't understand the responsibility that is carried into living. So when we are young, when we are going to start high school, we begin to ask ourselves, what clothes should I wear? What people should I hang out with? Because you start off by yourself and you kind of want to prepare yourself, because preparation is key to success. So you begin to prepare yourself and you begin to ask yourselves all these questions like, should I shower this morning? Should I shower at night? Should I shower once a week? Should I shower 3 times a week? Should I develop a habit of this? Should I develop a habit of that? So once you have separated all this information that I've given to you, you begin to have a manual of your mental health. And if you begin to organize your mind, you won't have a mental disorder, if that makes sense. Yeah, you might have been diagnosed in 2005 for bipolar schizophrenia, But this does not mean that you still have it. The only thing it means that you still have the misbalance because of whatever substance that you took or whatever situation that happened in your mind. It's still working with its effect. For example, a volcano still erupted in a certain age. Just because you solve it and build a canal so that the volcano never passes through there again, it doesn't mean that it never happened, and it doesn't mean that it won't ever happen again. You just don't want to build a house, or you don't want to build a thought in this matter ever again, and you don't want to build a question for so long that it's going to cause you to have a mental breakdown and do drugs or use alcohol or use somebody else's medication. So usually a mental problem usually begins with a struggle, and mental health is it's not the problem, but the prevention of a problem. So a lot of people think that mental health is always like, oh, you have a problem. No, mental health is organizing your thoughts so that you don't have a mental condition. Another thing I wanted to share is that a note that I took here when I was going to my classes for IE is mental problem. A mental problem is a problem in the mind that takes a lot of energy away from that person. Not only energy, but time. And that problem is created by the individual. So for a lot of you, depending on your age and depending on your situation, what's going to be really helpful is if you still have your parents around, ask your parents, when did they start noticing a problem in your eyes or in your mind or in yourself, in your spirit, so that you can begin to retract from there. So you don't need some of you don't need a hypnotherapist or psychotherapy, but I highly encourage it because it's really healing. For some of you, journaling might be enough, but if you already have a condition, I definitely think that you should see a therapist on a daily basis, so that you can learn how to cope with it so that never happens, so that the condition never gets any worse. So realize two things, that I'm talking about mental health and mental condition. Okay? So, alright. So I think that we're gonna leave it at that. This video is more of the insight as to mental health and mental condition, and the ways that you can problem solve. Alright, well, thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe to my videos. I put up new videos every Sunday, Monday, and I think I'm gonna start doing Wednesdays. See ya. Thank you.